Deedee Blanchard case, DNA results. You guys have really not had time to go through this yet, so let's do it now. So 1.1 is the hilt of the knife. A hilt of the knife is basically the entire handle part that you see. These are the best pictures that I could find of the actual weapon. The only thing that it says for the hilt of the knife is the presence of red stuff, right? And then we have the red section of the handle of the knife. You can see the red section in both pictures. And it reads, a DNA profile was developed and is consistent with being a mixture of two individuals. Nicholas Godejohn and Claudine Blanchard cannot be eliminated as contributors to the mixture. And DNA doesn't lie, you guys. So Gypsy Blanchard was eliminated as a contributor to the DNA on the red part of the handle for the knife. Obviously, I'm not an expert in DNA, but this is my interpretation of the report. We are still talking about the red section of the handle, and it reads, the observed mixture is 1.7 billion times Caucasian population and 56 billion times in the Black population, more likely to occur under the scenario that originated from a mixture of DNA from Deedee and Nicholas, as opposed to the scenario that the mixture originated from a mixture of DNA from Deedee and an unknown, unrelated individual. So what this is saying is that it's more likely that the DNA is from the mixture of Deedee and Nick versus a Deedee and an unknown person. It just says more likely, okay? The first section on the DNA results is talking about the actual blade of the weapon, okay? Obviously, the blade screened positive for the presence of red stuff. All right, are you still with me here? When it comes to the blade of the weapon, the profile is consistent with being a mixture of two individuals. The major component of the mixture is consistent with the profile developed for Deedee and has an approximate frequency of 1 in 2.196 quadrillion in the Caucasian population and 1 in 437.8 quadrillion in the Black population. It goes on to say that Nick Godejohn and Gypsy Blanchard are eliminated as the source of the major component. It is inconclusive as to whether Nick Godejohn could be or could not be eliminated as the source of the minor component. Gypsy Blanchard is eliminated as a contributor to the minor component. So I interpret that like we definitely know that that DNA on the blade is Deedee Blanchard's. We know that it is not Gypsy Blanchard's, and we do not know if any of that is Nicholas's DNA. And so now you're probably wondering, what is major and minor components, right? I mean, if you're anything like me, I dropped out of high school and went back and got my GED. I did not have any schooling, and I always wonder how my life would have been differently if I had. But it's basically just the grooves that make up the DNA. So it says in the structure of DNA, specifically bDNA, the major and minor components refer to the major and minor grooves, which are structural features created by the helical twisting of the two sugar phosphate backbones. So the major is the wider, deeper space, and the minor is the narrower, shallower space. And then there's a little video I'm going to show you.
In this animation, the major and minor grooves of DNA are highlighted. Nucleobase atoms facing the major groove are colored pink, and nucleobase atoms facing the minor groove are colored blue. It's easy to see that the major groove is larger than the minor groove, but in this lesson we will look more closely at the structure to get a more precise definition of the major and minor grooves. If we focus in on the deoxyribose of the backbone, we can see the important relationship that defines the major and minor grooves. Looking at the left backbone, we can see that in the major groove, the deoxyribose always points its ring oxygen up. If you imagine the deoxyribose as the Statue of Liberty with the phosphate as its torch, you'll always remember the correct orientation for the left side of a major groove. Looking again at the left backbone, we can see that in the minor groove, the deoxyribose always points its ring oxygen down, kind of like an upside-down Statue of Liberty. This orientation makes sense because the two DNA backbones run in opposite directions. Always keep in mind the 5' to 3' directionality when viewing polynucleotides. Looking at the right backbone, we can now see that in the major groove, the deoxyribose always points its ring oxygen down. This is the opposite orientation compared with the complementary left backbone. And looking again in the right backbone, we can now see that in the minor groove, the deoxyribose always points its ring oxygen up. Again, this is the opposite orientation compared with the complementary left backbone.
Now the report talks about the black sheath of the knife that you can see pictured below. No red stuff was detected on the sheath at all, and an insufficient amount of DNA was detected. Therefore, they did not do any further DNA analysis for the sheath. The report now moves on to the clothes that Gypsy was wearing, and I'm still trying to find those pictures, y'all. So if you have pictures of the jeans and the shirt that Gypsy was wearing, please send them to me so I can complete this DNA research. I looked through every single Google Drive that I have access to. I'm a very visual person, and it just really helps to be able to show the items that the DNA was present on, right? You are more than welcome to send the pictures that you have. You can DM them to me, or you can send them to my public email that is SullenBeauty@yahoo.com, and that is also in my TikTok bio. So what did we learn? Let's do a quick recap. We learned that when it comes to the murder weapon, Gypsy's DNA is not on it at all, according to the report. Obviously, Deedee's DNA is on the murder weapon, and there is a strong possibility that Nick's was too. I guess instead of saying strong possibility, we'll say more likely. I don't know. Are you guys surprised that Gypsy's DNA wasn't on the weapon? I know I am. Oh, and don't forget, you guys, I really need those pictures. So I need Gypsy's gray shirt, her jeans, and her black boots, the paper towels, and the clothes on Deedee. Obviously, I have those.